One of the most enigmatic queens in history, Balqis, is mentioned in the Quran. She was married to Prophet Sulaiman. May peace be upon him. Balqis ruled over a vast kingdom stretching from South Arabia into Africa. There are astonishing details about her that many people don't know. Some claim she was part human, part jinn. But could Sulaiman, a prophet with authority over the jinn who made them serve him, truly have taken a jinn as his wife? What do Islamic traditions actually say about this? But this remarkable story didn't begin with a queen. It began with a small bird, a hoopoe named Hudhud, gifted with intelligence and the ability to communicate, who brought back unexpected news from distant lands. This tiny bird played a key role in guiding a queen who once worshipped the sun to embrace Islam, and in doing so, changed the course of history. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss more stories like this. If you're ready, let's begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We relate to you, O Muhammad, the best of stories in what we have revealed to you of this Quran, although you were before it, among the unaware. Surah Yusuf 12:3. The army of Prophet Sulaiman had assembled, awaiting his inspection. This was no ordinary force. It included humans, jinn, birds, and animals. Even the wind obeyed Sulaiman, carrying him wherever he wished. Among the human ranks were soldiers on foot and horseback. The jinn warriors were invisible to ordinary eyes, making this army even more fearsome. Their enemies could not see much of the forces they were facing. Various creatures also served in Sulaiman's army. Lions were considered the leaders among animals, followed by tigers. The air division was made up of hawks, falcons, and other birds. A bird named Hudhud was tasked with gathering intelligence. Hudhud's duty was to fly far and wide, observe enemy activity, and return with critical information. It was a highly sensitive and important mission. But as the army gathered that day, several animals noticed something troubling. Hudhud was nowhere to be seen. They murmured to one another, "Sulaiman will arrive soon. He'll find out Hudhud is missing." When Prophet Sulaiman reached the scene, the whispers grew louder. He noticed Hudhud's absence right away. At that time, Hudhud was in the land of Saba, the kingdom ruled by Queen Balqis. He had journeyed far, driven by a strong feeling that something important awaited him. Perched atop a tall tree overlooking the city, he carefully observed the streets, buildings, palaces, and gates. He sensed that something unusual was happening. It appeared that the people were gathering for a ceremony, so he turned to another hoopoe who lived in the area. "Oh, beautiful Hudhud, can you please tell me what's happening in this city?" The other bird replied, "The people are going to see the Queen of Sheba. They're about to perform a ceremony where they all bow down to the sun." Hudhud now knew his instincts had been correct. He watched the guards, then the commanders and soldiers, until finally Queen Balqis appeared on her grand throne. She stepped down, lifted her hands, and bowed to the sun. And all her people followed. Hudhud observed it all, wondering how Sulaiman would respond to this discovery. Without delay, he flew back. After many exhausting days of travel, he returned to the gathering place of the army. The birds surrounded him, visibly upset. A small sparrow was the first to confront him. "Where have you been? Our leader Sulaiman asked about you. We hope you have a good excuse for disappearing." Feeling anxious, Hudhud made his way straight to Prophet Sulaiman's tent. He had no choice but to speak up and seek forgiveness. He flew in through the window as the prophet was eating and quietly perched near the edge of the table. Trying to avoid Sulaiman's gaze, Hudhud offered his greetings softly, head bowed in fear. He dared only to look as far as the prophet's hands and chest, ashamed to meet his eyes directly. Knowing that honesty would be his best hope, Hudhud began to speak. "My master, I have brought important news about a people you don't know in a faraway land. I saw a woman ruling over the people of Saba. She sits on a great throne and has everything anyone could want." but I saw her and her people bowing to the sun instead of to Allah. Shaitan has made their actions look good to them." Hudhud's words were heavy with meaning. His absence had been justified. He had been on a mission of great significance. Sulaiman responded, "Of course, we must check if what you're saying is true. I will write a letter. You will take it to them and then wait to see how they respond." Hudhud carried the sealed message and flew swiftly toward Saba. Arriving in the palace garden, he searched for the queen's chamber. Spotting a large room with a grand balcony, he recognized it as hers. Clutching the letter in his beak, he flew through an open window and concealed himself behind a ceiling ornament. From his hiding place, he watched as the queen slept peacefully. Her hair rested over her pillow, her face graceful and serene. Though he admired her beauty, he felt sorrow. How could someone so gifted with beauty, wealth, and power still worship the sun? He reflected, "Shaitan has tricked them into turning away from Allah." Then another thought struck him. If Sulaiman sends his army against Saba, the outcome is obvious. The queen is powerful, but she cannot defeat Sulaiman's forces. They could take her kingdom with ease. Hudhud wondered whether to drop the letter immediately or wait until she fully awoke. But before he could decide, the letter slipped from his beak and landed on the queen's bed. Queen Balqis stirred, opening her eyes to find a letter before her. Alarmed, she scanned the room, but no one was there. She cautiously opened the message and read, "This message is from Sulaiman. In the name of Allah, Al-Rahman, Al-Rahim, I invite you to believe in one Allah. Do not act arrogantly toward me. Come to me and submit." Furious and frightened, the queen sprang up, holding the letter high. "Who dares to enter my room? Who did this?" Her guards rushed in, bewildered. They swore no one had passed them. They had been guarding her door the entire time. Unseen, Hudhud listened from his hiding place above. "Then where did this letter come from?" the queen demanded. The guards exchanged confused glances. None could explain how the letter had appeared. Queen Balqis immediately summoned her council for an emergency meeting. When her advisors had assembled, she addressed them. "O my advisors, I have received a very important letter. It is from Sulaiman. He begins his letter in the name of Allah, Al-Rahman and Al-Rahim. He tells me to come to him without pride. What do you think we should do?" One advisor responded, "It means King Sulaiman wants us to submit to him. That sounds like a call to war." Another said, "Let's fight. We are strong and powerful. Let's show him our strength and go to war." Most of the council members were in agreement, so they decided to wait and see. Then Queen Balqis spoke. "When kings attack a land, they destroy everything and turn honorable people into weak ones. I fear something like this may happen to us. So I suggest we send gifts with messengers, then wait and see what response we receive." No one disagreed, so her plan was accepted. Hudhud, the bird, had heard the entire conversation. As soon as the meeting ended, he flew away. In the land of the queen, an announcement was made. A grand gift would be prepared from gold and precious stones. No matter the cost, it had to be magnificent. Her advisors told her that Sulaiman was a powerful and fearsome man, and only a gift of great value might win his favor. Their future depended on his mercy. The kingdom's finest craftsmen began working day and night to create something truly special. They used the most valuable materials they had. At last, the gift was complete. A golden tray adorned with 2 wolves, crafted from gold and decorated with jewels. When Queen Balqis saw this exquisite and costly gift, she was pleased. She gave orders for her messengers to get ready and deliver it to Sulaiman. Along with them, she sent a high-ranking commander to assess Sulaiman's military strength. She said, "Find out what Sulaiman truly wants from us and how powerful his army is." But Prophet Sulaiman already knew about the queen's plans. Hudhud, flying near the border, had spotted the caravan of messengers and rushed back to inform him. From Hudhud's report, Sulaiman understood that the queen was sending gifts, not as submission, but as a test, to gauge his intentions and strength. So Sulaiman gave an order. The army should prepare and form ranks to receive the queen's envoys. He also sent some men ahead to meet them. Sulaiman had a clear goal: to make them feel defeated before even seeing him. As the messengers approached, they were stunned by the sight of the army. They began counting the soldiers and noting the creatures within it. To their astonishment, Sulaiman's army was not just made of men. It included lions, tigers, elephants, birds, and many other animals. They even saw how the army could travel by wind. Their eyes widened and their mouths dropped in disbelief. It was a force unlike anything they had ever imagined, awe-inspiring and terrifying. Then they noticed something even more incredible. Some weapons seemed to move on their own. Their fear grew. "What is this?" one of them asked in panic. An officer escorting them answered calmly, "This is just a small group of jinn soldiers doing their morning training." The messengers were overwhelmed. They couldn't wait to meet Sulaiman, but the prophet did not receive them directly. Instead, he sent a commander to host them. They were invited to a meal at Sulaiman's palace. As they looked around at the wealth and splendor surrounding them, they felt embarrassed. The gifts they had brought now seemed small and insignificant. Still, they presented the gifts, reluctantly and with shame. The officer took the gifts inside to Prophet Sulaiman, but returned shortly after, holding them again. He placed them on the table and said that the prophet had rejected them. Then he delivered Sulaiman's message. "Do you think you can impress me with wealth? What Allah has given me is far greater than anything He has given you. Take back your gifts. If I come to your land, I will do so with a force you cannot imagine, and I will drive you out of your cities in humiliation." The messengers were terrified. "What does Sulaiman want from us?" one of them asked the officer. "Please tell us clearly, so we can report back to the queen." The officer replied, "Sulaiman wants only one thing, for your queen and your people to submit to him." It was clear that this was a message of peace, but also a serious warning. The messengers returned immediately to Queen Balqis with Sulaiman's words. When they arrived, the queen was asleep, but she had instructed her servants to wake her the moment the messengers returned. And so they did. She opened her eyes and met them right away. "Well, tell me, what did Sulaiman say when you gave him the gift?" she asked. But the messengers explained that they hadn't met Sulaiman in person. A commander had accepted the gift on his behalf, and then returned it. They shared the prophet's exact message. Upon hearing this, the queen lowered her head in thought. Sulaiman hadn't accepted her gift, nor her messengers. She continued to question her men, and they told her everything they had seen: the jinn, the animals, the army. She realized then that Sulaiman would only accept one thing: full submission. The messengers also described how powerful and extraordinary Sulaiman's army was. When she heard that jinn and animals served him, she understood the danger of war. If she chose to fight him, she might lose everything. Now there was only one option left: try to reason with Sulaiman in person. Looking at the rejected gift, she pondered her next step, then decided to call a meeting of both her royal and military advisors. Two great kingdoms stood on the edge of war. This meeting would be critical. At the same time, Prophet Sulaiman held a meeting in his city with his own council: ministers, generals, scholars, and commanders. Two lions stood guard. Hudhud was also present. Sulaiman opened the meeting. "I praise Allah for the wealth and power He has given us." Although he was angry inside, he didn't show it outwardly. How can it be, he continued, that while we live and carry the banner of Tawhid, there are still people who worship the sun? This is a failure and a shame. Sulaiman wasn't seeking glory for himself. He ruled for the sake of Allah. That's why he felt both anger and responsibility. One of the army commanders stood up with his sword. "Just give the order, and I will destroy the queen's throne and her people who deny Allah." But Sulaiman replied, "I do not prefer violence. We must find another way. I hope the queen will come to me herself. But before she arrives, who among you can bring her throne here?" A powerful jinn replied, "I can bring it before you even stand up. You know my strength." Then a scholar, one who had been given special knowledge from Allah, Ilm al-Ladunni, stood and said, "I can bring it to you before you even blink." As soon as Sulaiman accepted his offer, the throne of Queen Balqis appeared instantly, as if it had been teleported. Everyone was shocked. It was enormous and majestic. Even Hudhud stared in awe, trying to understand what had just happened. Meanwhile, back in the city of Saba, Queen Balqis gathered her advisors. Everyone looked pale and anxious. She addressed them in a weary voice. "We are facing a serious crisis. Sulaiman demands our submission and threatens to destroy our strength. I need your help to find a solution." The advisors agreed that perhaps the queen herself should go and meet Sulaiman. Maybe, if she offered him even more valuable gifts, peace could still be achieved. But they warned, if he refuses again, then war will be our only option. And this war could erase our kingdom from history. Everyone looked to Queen Balqis as their last hope. She decided to take the risk. She would travel to Sulaiman's palace herself. Preparations began. Even more luxurious and priceless gifts were prepared for the journey. Prophet Sulaiman knew the queen misunderstood the meaning of strength and progress. She was proud of her nation's technology and wealth. But Sulaiman wanted her to understand a deeper truth. True greatness and lasting progress come only through Tawhid, the belief in the oneness of Allah. Without Allah, any system will eventually fall apart. If you lose the world but gain Allah, you have succeeded. But if you gain the whole world and lose Allah, what have you really gained? Prophet Sulaiman, being a wise and discerning leader, not only had Queen Balqis's throne brought to him, but he also ordered modifications to its design. When he noticed a sun symbol on it, he remarked, "How foolish it is to worship the sun. Even if it were made of gold, bowing to it makes no sense." He then instructed that certain elements of the throne be changed, and the redesign began under his guidance. Meanwhile, Queen Balqis was completing her travel preparations. She ordered a royal caravan to be assembled for the journey. Around the same time, Sulaiman summoned the finest architect in his kingdom and said, "Do you know why I called you? I want a palace built above water, a place that appears to float. Its entrance should be transparent, so it looks like one is walking directly on water." The architect responded, "Shall I use clear glass for the floor, so that the water beneath is fully visible?" Sulaiman replied, "Yes, exactly. How long will it take to complete?" "If you allow the jinn to assist," the architect said, "we can finish in 2 weeks. If only humans work on it, it will take much longer." Sulaiman agreed, "I will command the jinn to help you. But make sure the floor is exactly as described. Pure glass, showing the water beneath." The architect then asked, "Would you like anything special for the ceiling or the walls?" "What do you suggest?" Sulaiman asked. "I recommend a glass ceiling as well, so sunlight can reflect beautifully on the water, and mirrored walls to create a sense of light and elegance. Sulaiman was pleased with the idea and ordered construction to begin immediately. Soon, the grand palace began rising above the water, a marvel of craftsmanship and design. As Queen Balqis neared Sulaiman's land, the Hoopoe Bird, Hudhud, awaited her at the border, accompanied by an officer. Along the journey, Balqis began to notice strange and extraordinary things. The stories her messengers had told were true. This land was unlike any other. The closer she got to Sulaiman's city, the more astonished she became. She saw a portion of his army, the most powerful and awe-inspiring force she had ever seen. Fear gripped her heart. It felt as though this army wasn't powered by men alone, but by something far greater: divine might. Her confidence in her own kingdom began to waver. As she approached the city, her pride crumbled. Her fear slowly transformed into awe. She was about to step into a palace like no other. The scene before her was breathtaking. Sulaiman's palace was not only rich in wealth, but also stunning in design. Golden columns, jewel-encrusted doors, and delicate artistry at every turn. But the most striking feature was the glass floor at the entrance. Beneath it, clear water flowed, giving the illusion of a deep pool. As she approached, Queen Balqis, thinking it was water, lifted her dress to avoid getting wet, unknowingly revealing her legs. This moment marked a turning point. According to certain traditional sources, the glass floor wasn't only decorative, it was a test. As a prophet who commanded the jinn, Sulaiman had received subtle knowledge suggesting that Balqis might not be fully human. Some rumors hinted she could be part jinn. Sulaiman, aware that jinn often had hairy legs, designed this test to discreetly confirm her nature. Why did people think she was half jinn? Different cultures and texts offer various legends. One says Balqis was the child of a human queen and a powerful jinn and ifrit, which would explain both her beauty and unusual traits. However, the Quran doesn't specify whether she was human or jinn. Ethiopian traditions describe her as a wise and noble human queen, focusing on her character rather than any unusual origins. Most Islamic scholars agree that she was fully human. The rumor about her jinn heritage was likely spread by the jinn themselves. Out of fear, they dreaded the idea that if Sulaiman married her and had a son, that child might inherit his father's powers and continue to rule over them. The jinn had long served Sulaiman unwillingly and hoped to gain their freedom after his death. So they tried to plant doubt in his mind. Sulaiman, knowing the deceptive nature of jinn, tested her in a way that left no doubt. When he saw her legs were normal, his suspicion vanished. After Balqis stepped over the glass floor, Sulaiman revealed her throne. She was stunned. "Is this your throne?" he asked. She studied it carefully. It looked exactly like her own, but something had changed. "It seems to be the same," she finally said. Under the throne, Sulaiman had placed a message: "We are among those who submit to Allah." As she looked closer, she realized that this was indeed her throne, somehow brought here and altered before she even arrived. Another sign of the immense power Allah had granted Sulaiman. Balqis fell deep into thought. She began to see how shallow and misguided her people's beliefs were when compared with Sulaiman's wisdom. That day, she was invited to lunch, and Sulaiman sat beside her, sharing his thoughts on faith and the Creator. He spoke of Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the most generous, the Most High. He explained how the sun, like butterflies and flowers, was merely a servant of its Creator. To bow to the sun, he said, is an insult to human reason. Balqis began to see the truth. The sun she once worshipped was just a trap set by Shaitan. Its glow dimmed in her heart, and a new light, the light of faith, began to shine within her. Just then, her advisors entered, reminding her that it was time to perform their daily sun worship. But the queen stood up and declared, "Fools! Do you still think the sun is worthy of worship? Shaitan made our beliefs look beautiful, but they were lies. Leave me, and do not speak until you've heard what Sulaiman has said." Frightened and confused, they quickly left. And for the first time, Queen Balqis felt something warm and alive in her heart, like the colors of a rainbow filling her soul. It was the light of truth. She realized that she had been deceiving herself, and she embraced Islam. Soon after, the people of Saba followed her lead. They turned away from sun worship and began to worship only Allah. And it all began with a bird, the faithful Hudhud, who sensed something that day while the rest of the birds flew ahead. This story, preserved in the Quran, reminds us of the power of truth, the value of knowledge, and the honor given to those who seek it. If this story moved your heart, and you want to discover more hidden gems from the Quran, stories of wisdom, wonder, and truth, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Word of Quran, because the next story might just change the way you see the world. Jazak Allah khair.